Garage is closed. Camera time. Yes, sir. We are live. It's your boy Kalen. With me is Michael. What's going on, Michael?
What's up?
What's going on? What's going on?
What's
And
going on,
then
people?
Kevin's getting food. I think he's going to the bathroom, and then he'll be in here later. We're gonna finish up our last study, and then we'll just go from there. So let's get it. Stream time. Let's get the music on a little bit. Get that popping. Though you probably won't need it since we have people in the chat, obviously. But studies, man, keeping me busy. You know, keeping me busy. So we'll see how we do. So I had the study from last week that I did. Well, you were there, Michael, for that one. So it was this study, then it was this crappy study, and then it was this study, and now we have this study. So my goal is to do it one more time, and then kind of evaluate and just see what I learned, what I didn't learn. You know. So I kind of like to do this a little bit at times where I do the same painting over and over again, just to kind of just see like if it gets better over time, and like do I see like different ways of approaching things. You know what I mean? So this is kind of a
Yeah.
good way, because a lot of times I even like to do this with students sometimes as well, because it's a good kind of practice, because a lot of times if something isn't right, you're gonna have to do it over and over again. So kind of kind of framing it in that way is kind of a good way to practice, in my opinion. So this is how this is how I win. This is how I get better usually. I usually learn a lot when I do it this way, as opposed to just doing something and then kind of just starting brand new. Like, you know how it is, like you do something and you're like, all right, I'm doing something completely different. Normally if I do it this way, then I feel like it's I can kind of really see the progression. It's kind of like a map a little bit. So that's the goal here. We're gonna see what's good. Now, did it put it on there? Yes, it did. Nice. Okay. I hate that on my Twitter that it just puts this big ass picture of myself. I wish it didn't do that. But it is what it is.
Oh, like when you share the stream?
Yeah, I really wish it didn't do that, but you know, here we are. So
Yeah.
so yeah, let's do some studies. What is your experience when doing studies? Do you have any tidbits, any knowledge, anything you gonna drop on me?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're asking me, then I always like to try to break things down to whatever's as specific as possible. I think that helps. It's something I picked up from AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I'm trying to figure out something, I'll try to like isolate it. And then like Blender, like if you a, a comparison or analogy, maybe if people that know Blender can see, is like it's like zooming in, or
Mm-hmm.
like when you isolate an object and then you focus on that object and then you go like out one level and then focus on that and then out again until you get to the whole thing. And like kind of thinking about it like that is like, okay, distill it down to the very specific core thing you're trying to understand. Try that, and then if you think you got some answers, then zoom out a little bit and like try it in a larger scale. See if you got it, and then zoom out again. And then the final zoom is trying what you learned on a project.
Okay.
That's kind of how I think about it.
I kind of like that idea. It's kind of the same thing that I'm doing here, where it's like we're really trying to kind of hone in on a specific thing that I want to practice, and then seeing if I can, improve that a little bit, and then also explore different problem solving approaches. I think what I learned recently is that I think every time I think that I can just paint straight up, I can't. I think that's what I learned. It was more and more I'm just like really human and like not very good at this. So in the previous ones, I definitely try to kind of paint my way out of situations. Like I try to just paint it from scratch, and there wasn't much organization. I was trying to treat it as kind of like one big giant shape. But then over time, like even when I was doing it here, it still wasn't that great. And then I think here I started to figure something out. And then it wasn't until the most recent one that I feel like, okay, I have a pretty good idea, but just the overall execution and what I'm separating, I think can be stronger. So that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. Is I'm kind of like, I think I can do better. So that's kind of this. I think like overall it was a successful like attempt, but now I'm like, you know what? Like I think like I'm pretty sure if I do this one more time, I could really come up with something that's like really nice, and that takes a lot of mental fortitude. I feel like a lot of students when they're trying stuff out, they don't do it because they're just like, it's like I don't want to do it again. But I think in that last one that you do, I feel like that's where a lot of the answers are. It's kind of like that meme when you're in the cave and you're like they're digging towards diamonds, but at the last moment they kind of turn away because they're like whatever. I feel like painting is kind of like that in a way where some people when they're doing their studies they kind of just go whatever, but they're very close to probably that nugget of information, and they don't do it because they're just like they just get over it, which is fine. So I want to make sure that what I'm trying here really makes sense. And then I think maybe next week I'll try to do an application of it where now that I've like practiced it enough times, I can say, okay, let's try to apply it in my own painting and see if I can do something that is like equally as cool, you know? But more and more, I'm just really about like, I'm learning more about like, I'm definitely a shape guy. I mean, I've always kind of been a shape guy, but even when it comes to doing stuff, like what makes trees super hard is just like the massive shapes that you have to figure out in terms of like how you're going to organize detail is really, really hard. And this is a really good practice for me to kind of figure that out. And so more and more, I'm like, I feel like I have to organize things even more than what I would normally would do in order to be successful at a painting. So we're going to see. We're going to learn today. So let's break this down some more. And what have you been working on besides all the life stuff? What have you been up to? Any new art things, or you just chilling for now? Or just...
Yeah. Did I ever show you the iterations I did for AJ?
No, but you can, and I'll take a look at them.
Okay.
I would like to see.
Excuse me.
I would like to see.
I didn't nail it, but he was happy with it. He was happy with the feedback, of course, right? You know how that is. So I got more work to do.
Nice.
I'll post it here.
So I'm gonna try this in a different way. Oh no. I think this is how I win. Ooh. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me finish this last thought of a shape. Yeah, I've been looking at some notes by the way too of like what do you call it? What's his name? Theodore Kotsky, and some of his notes now are making more sense to me about how to approach things, and so I'm trying to apply some of that now, and we'll see how it goes. Let me see real quick. Okay, let me
Is
finish
this a
this last
traditional
one.
painter?
What's up?
Is that a traditional painter?
Yes, it is. I'll even let's see if I can even find some of this stuff. I'm gonna show you guys some. This is actually gonna be some stuff that I'm gonna talk about in my class. You know, my lecture class. So I'm gonna break some of this stuff down. But before we do that, let's take a look at Michael's stuff. Yo. Okay. Some nice compositions. Now you just gotta make it like pretty. You know.
Yeah, he said it feels too ancient, so I'm gonna try again.
Yeah, a lot of that could be solved with
But
color
it
too.
was difficult.
Yeah. I think once you get some more like
Well,
some more saturation in there and stuff like that, you know, some more like random colors, like that marble and stuff. I think that's where you're gonna find some cool ideas, you know. So
Yeah. Well, I had to figure out a lot of things, like, because he wanted variations, but he wasn't super clear on what that meant. And like when I asked my friends, everybody had a different answer. So I was like, okay, well, even essentially it distilled down to like he even wanted variations of the mansion itself.
yeah, that's what I would assumed,
And
right?
it's like,
Variations of like what the mansion can look like.
yeah, but well, the thing is like, so the concept idea was centered around this scene of the character traversing past this pool area.
Mm-hmm.
And like, since I'm focusing so much time on the mansion, I'm not even getting to design the pool area. Then on top of that, then I have to design like, I have to add like the set dressing that makes it feel abandoned. And it's just, I don't know, it felt like too many things to tackle at once
Yep.
early on. So I gotta I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna find more approaches. Because the first thing I theorized was if I, like I told you, made it modular, if that would actually speed up things. I think yes and no. So let's see. I'll be trying again soon. The other thing is Blender crashed like a lot while working on it. I lost maybe 4 hours of work in total. So I this weekend updated my Blender, deleted a bunch of add-ons, settings and stuff. So far it hasn't crashed, so I think I fixed it.
Okay. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You know what? I'm realizing that's all one big giant shape. I should just connect these. Okay, who knew? Hold on a second. I'm just realizing that like I could probably group that value. I didn't group it last time, and now I'm like, you know what? I should group this. Okay. Okay, let's do that. But no, those are looking cool. I definitely dig them. I definitely like where your head's at in terms of like just approaching it, and you're gonna learn a lot too, for sure. Like 100%, you're gonna like figure out for each situation, you know, what's the best way to approach something. Like right now at work, I had to do like a paint over or something, and then I was just like, man, like there's so many ways to approach this, and like to get to this, you know, to get to this mark, to get to this like level of detail, like, you know, what do I have to do? And you know, it was definitely like trying to explore different options, but in a way that's like not too time consuming. So
Yeah. And so I definitely feel like I'm learning a lot all at once. Even when things don't go like perfectly, like I'm learning what not to do. I'm getting evidence on my theory, on my approach. Thinking about strategies, like it's all useful. That's what I'm thinking. Like I already have some ideas of how to do this again better.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you'll find so much information like in like when you're failing, essentially, like when you're making your mistakes. You know, if you kind of keep your mind open to it, you will find a lot of valuable information. So you just got to be open to it. And so a lot of times people like they just get mad or whatever, and then they kind of just be like, f this. But it's like, nah, there's information there. You just have to kind of see it. especially when like every loss, like anytime I feel like I have a loss in terms of my art, I'm like, okay, there's definitely something I can get better at, and like what is it and how do I approach it?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's just even for the people watching, like it's like your studies right now, like the feeling you were getting when you did the first couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know about that, but then you got evidence and you tried it, adjusted, changed course.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, it's really really hard to kind of separate yourself. Well, I think too, it's kind of also like holding yourself just to a higher standard. Like, I think when you hold yourself to a higher standard, like what normally may be good, where you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, like, you know, like that's interesting. You're holding yourself to a higher standard. You're kind of like, no, that's not good enough. Like there has to be a better way. And so I think when you do that, you'll definitely you will find different ways of approaching something when you begin to kind of hold yourself to that kind of high of a standard. When you're saying like this isn't good, like this is good and it's passable, yeah, but like is it good enough for what I want to achieve? And I think when you kind of push yourself and you keep pushing yourself, that's when you're going to find new stuff. So that's kind of what I try to do, at least, is like I definitely try to hold myself into a really high expectation of like how I want to execute it and how I want to do it. And I think most successful people, whether it's art or whatever, kind of try to do the same thing, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Oh. Did I just freeze? Okay, I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, you gotta keep pushing 100%. Like that's the way that you. That is definitely the
Oh
way.
my
that
God.
you better. Are you all right?
I've been talking. I've been talking for like 5 minutes.
Oh
It was
no!
muted.
My favorite's still
no.
gone.
Oh no!
Commenting on your opinions and all, but okay, it's all good.
He's like this man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin is here.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's my soccer level of. I'm telling you guys.
We gotta follow. We gotta follow because of it. They're like this freaking noob. Looks like I forgot who said that. Tongue. I couldn't see the name. My screen's so small on my other screen. But yeah, thank you for the. I think it's probably a follow. I assume. There you go.
There's a lot of students and ex-students and people in Brazil that really enjoy your work, Kevin.
Oh really?
So yeah, so they found out that I was going to join you in a stream. They were like, "Oh shit, no way," and all that.
Okay.
Like,
Shout outs to
man.
Brazil. What's going on, Brazil?
Yeah. People really like your stuff, man.
Obrigado, right? Is it obrigado?
Obrigado. Yeah.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. There you go. Shout outs to Brazil. Shout outs to all my favorite Brazilian folklore, like the Boto. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the
By the way, I
Boto.
was searching these days. I was actually looking to find something to bring for you when I visit you guys there, like some Bodo shirt or something.
You're gonna bring
It's gonna be cool.
You gonna bring me a little
Yeah,
white
I'm gonna
fedora?
bring you something. There's no way.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, man. Shouts to the Boto.
Yeah,
my
your-
favorite story.
That's your favorite thing. That's your favorite Brazilian thing. I have to
Yeah,
bring like a
the
full
pink-
costume. Like you
the
have
pink-
to do a cosplay of that.
I totally would if I had the confidence. I do not, but one
Yeah,
day.
but that's the secret. In order to have confidence, you have to do it without it, and then
Yeah, I
you
have
get
to be
confident
willing.
midway.
Yeah, right. I'm probably gonna hang out with some Brazilian person, and they're gonna like freak out. They're gonna be like, "What the? Run!" And I'll be like, no, I'm not real. It's not the real one."
Even cooler if you like just show up like out of a pool or something with
Just
water.
come out of a pool. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
I wish I was that cool. One day.
Oh, come on, man, you're so cool.
Pink dolphin. One day. It's just funny
Pink
it's just funny how that story happened, with me wearing a pink dolphin brand shirt, and then someone being like, "You know what that is, right?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Dude, that's the Boto." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So Good times, good times. I'm looking forward to one day, yeah, visiting Brazil. That would be really cool. I would have a blast, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
Luckily, the Bodo does not represent like a bad thing. Imagine like if it was like
oh yeah,
super,
maybe
yeah,
that would be bad for
it's
sure.
just a chill dude.
Sorry.
What are you guys talking before I came in? Like you talking about progress in art, learning, something like that?
Yeah, cause I'm doing these studies, and I like to do the same painting over and over again when I do a study, just because I feel like it helps me kind of evaluate um, different ways of kind of doing things. So someone asking in the chat right now is Tongue was like, do you mainly use selection lasso for plein air type paintings? Yeah, usually for plein air, these kind of things, I'm a very big kind of lasso kind of guy, just because it keeps me honest about not over detailing things. So like when I look at my older ones right here, this was my first one that I did, and there was no selection. I was just painting what I saw, and it really wasn't working out. Yeah, despite the fact that I had layers, because I wasn't trying to kind of like really organize my thoughts. It didn't really work out. And then the other one got even worse because I think I was trying to really worry about too much texture, and then that didn't work out. And then this one was a little bit better, but even then, there's still a lot of messiness to it that I didn't like. So I figured that maybe what I need to do is really organize my shapes a lot stronger. And I felt like when I did that, the work definitely kind of just felt stronger as a whole. So that's why I decided that, like, you know what, like I think using the lasso tool I think would be the smart move when painting. So yeah, so that's why we're
Yeah.
doing it, and we're kind of, I mean, I'm not 100%
By the
sold on
way,
it, but we'll see how it kind of goes, you know.
I think you should start use. Maybe you should ask him. But there is this lasso tool, a kind of a add-on or plugin for Photoshop that it feels like instantly for you. Maybe you'd like really enjoy since you're using a lot. I'm using it right now in case you want to see how it works.
Oh, I think
I
I know
need
what
to
you're
share
talking
with you.
about. It's
I know, yeah, yeah.
uh
But
what
but but
program
you
used to have
mainly
it was Alchemy. I think Alchemy used to have the same kind of thing. I didn't know they had one for Photoshop actually. That's kind of cool.
yeah, a guy on Twitter was like creating one, and I asked him. I came up to him and asked, when you're gonna like publish the full version so I can I can buy it. And then he sent me the beta to try it out. So I've been using it. Really
Mm.
cool. It's crazy that the Photoshop doesn't have an option for that. Like, it's really crazy.
I
But
think the reason why I probably wouldn't like it is because I feel like whenever I do use the lasso tool and I have to kind of like make the points, I have to be a lot more methodical about it. Where if it was just kind of like I can just kind of swing my stylus and then something happens, I feel like what would happen is I would use it too loosely, and I wouldn't think as much.
yeah,
So that's kind
yeah,
of that's kind of my worry, because like what you're suggesting is that like when you do it right, you're like, oh well, just you just make a shape and it just happens. But to me that gets kind of risky, at least for me, because I'm just like, well, then I'm just gonna be like, oh, swing my brush, swing my brush, swing my brush until I find a shape, as opposed where like I don't like to use the regular lasso tool. I'm very much the polygonal lasso tool for this reason,
hmm,
because I'm like, I want to like make the shape, like hit point, 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 and then and then
I
go from
see.
there. So I mean, it really depends on like how you think, but I think for me,
Yeah, that's
like
for sure.
I would, anything that kind of makes me slow down, I definitely prefer to do that if I can. Like that's kind of like my way of thinking. Tongue said, "Do you have a Discord server?" We are in a Discord server. It's just like but we're not like in a server. We're just like we're in like a private like room right now, just hanging out with some friends.
It's actually interesting what you just said because yeah, there's a really like you have to know yourself and how you're gonna interact with different tools to extract the best out of them because you can definitely like do lazy decisions depending on how you approach things.
Yeah,
It's actually
like
yeah.
if I'm using the lasso tool right now, and like normally when people you'll see a lot of people do this, right? Like they'll do it on their ground. They'll do this kind of shit where they just do that, and then they kind of just make random shapes, and they're like, oh, look at
Yeah, I do
me,
that all
like,
the time.
yeah, like I'm a concept artist, right? Or like I'm doing concept art, and then you fill it, and then it's just like it's cool, but then it doesn't do anything for me in terms of like there isn't much intent there, and I don't like it. Versus if I use the polygonal lasso tool, I'm really kind of forced to really understand the shape that I'm making, and I feel like I get more out of it when I'm like forced to actually like make a shape. Because I'm forced to slow down because like if you don't do it right, it's gonna look stupid. And then like once it's kind of where you want it, then I feel like I can go in there and kind of just make it more curvilinear and like add some more texture. So that's why like I feel like that looks a lot stronger. But I'm sure there's probably like a middle ground too, of like where of where you could probably combine both maybe. I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just gotta figure it out. I'm still kind of learning in this regard of like how do I like to paint, especially like foliage, because foliage is already kind of like a bitch to do. Um, I'm still learning like how do I want to approach certain things.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to share your tweet about this tree, and I accidentally tagged a singer instead of KP. Oh my god.
Oh, you tagged a singer? That's tight.
Yeah, I tagged a random person. I need to tag KP. Keypalette.
Oh, what
Yeah.
singer was it?
Oh, Keypalette.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Keypalette.
Uh,
Oh my god. I need to retweet that. Okay, great.
you tagged Ty Dolla Sign? What? Because that's just my goal.
Shut up.
That's,
I random tag a Brazilian singer. Oh my
oh
gosh.
really? That's
Well, anyway,
funny.
I corrected it now.
She's like, oh, what, you tagging me in there? Well, actually, tag him again
Yeah.
because then maybe they'll be like, yo, your art's dope. I want to like hire you and like, you
Yeah,
know,
maybe.
share your work. And I'll be like, oh
But I
shit.
think she retired. This is
Oh,
specifically
oh, so she's like old.
singer. Yeah.
Yeah, that she's probably gonna sue my ass then. She'll be like, copyright, get this shit out of here.
Yeah.
Usually when you're older, you're just trying to protect your music, and they're just like, get out.
Or invest on new talents and maybe
Maybe,
hire
yeah.
us.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? You're right. Who the fuck knows? All right, let me work on this tree some more. All right, I definitely like where this is going.
I was actually going to ask you one thing as well. Like,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking to I've seen you doing this study last stream, and I feel like a lot of times whenever I struggle a lot with those type of studies, a lot of times because I picked a bad image as reference, and even if I like do awesome shapes with good contrast and like color variation and shape variation and all that, because of the reference composition and how the elements are positioned, it never gets there, and whenever I select a painting or a picture with a good reference, usually I'm satisfied with the end result of my study faster. I don't have to redo that every time. Or whenever I pick a kind of bad type of composition picture, I always change stuff so the composition is good. So what do you think about it? Like, because you're not really changing much the composition, right? You're just focused on understanding leaves and how to render them or something.
Yeah, I try to always have a goal in mind. So for me, there isn't really like a bad image. It's just like, what do I want from the image? So for
I see.
me, I look at this image and I'm like, I like the color and I just like the lighting and I like the texture of it. So that's kind of my focus. So composition and stuff like that, may kind of fall to the wayside for me in terms of like, oh, I don't think this is important. So then I just want to just make sure that I have a game plan of what I want to focus on, and then I just try to kind of execute that, and then I just work on that. So like it's kind of like like if you go into a study and you just kind of do whatever you want, I feel like you're gonna kind of fall short because there's so many things you can focus on, in environment art that like it's really easy to get lost. So it's really good to kind of have like a set idea in mind to say like I'm going to focus on this one thing, which would be like, you know, texture, organization of values. Like that's kind of what I've been focusing on for this piece in particular. Is like how I'm organizing detail and how I'm grouping values. I think grouping values is probably like the big thing. So just like, you know, soccer analogy, just like in soccer, when I start something, you know, I have certain goals in mind of like, you know, not give the ball away or like make sure I complete all my passes. Like, you know, there's certain things that I'm like constantly thinking about that's going to be like, you know, the thing that I'm going to focus on today. If I try to focus on everything, then I feel like I'll get overwhelmed. And I think that's what happens with like environment art. Like you're trying to focus on color, perspective, like all these different things. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. So this is kind of my way to kind of solve that issue where like I'm not like focusing on every certain thing, but I'm trying to focus on a couple of things. And then hopefully like over time, you know, maybe I can say, oh, you know what, let's balance one more thing into this, you know, let's balance this thing into it, let's balance that thing into it. And then your goal, I think, is that over time maybe you just kind of like, oh well, now I can just do this study and maybe focus literally on everything, and I'm cool with that. So that's just kind of how I personally think about it. It's just like what does it mean to me, and like what can I get from it. So I think just having a goal, like I usually write out my goals normally, if not on paper, then like mentally I have like a very like certain like note in my head of like this is what I'm trying to achieve, and I'll go back and forth and kind of go back to that list, that checklist of like, okay, like do I think that I did this correctly? And then, you know, if I feel like I didn't, then I go back and I go, okay, well, why didn't I? And where did I kind of mess up? So, you know, these ones in particular have been kind of fun for me just because it's like, I'm really kind of exploring a lot of different ideas of approaching like these kind of complex things that look like they're very simple, but they're very complex. And I'm definitely finding like new ways to be like, oh, this is how I should approach it. So it's interesting. I think everyone studies differently, but again, me being a sports guy, like I always tried to have like every time I play the game, I go, okay, this is the thing that I want to work on. So like recently it was like my left foot is trash. Like, so it's like, okay, every time I get the ball, I need to use my left foot somehow. I need to receive the ball from the left foot. I need to like not be scared with it. And I think what that does is it kind of fosters this idea of painting with intent, where you have like a really strong intention of what you want to like manifest in your painting. And I don't think you hear me say this all in my classes, and if you take my class later on, right, a little shameless plug, that's what I try to kind of really focus on is painting with intent. Like, what is the intention here? And I think a lot of times it's very easy to kind of like just put on music and not really think about what you're doing, versus like really kind of like manifesting that and saying like, okay, this is what needs to happen. And so I think like, so when I tell people when they're doing studies, I'm kind of like, don't have any music on, like don't have anything on, like literally just for like a half hour, just really like live in your painting, and you'll be surprised like how much more focused you are when like you don't have any music, you don't have any like, you know, podcast on, like you really are just like, you know what I mean? Like you really are just
in the
like,
zone,
focused in the zone, right? Because you don't have music on when you're playing soccer. You don't have music on when you're like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you have to be really kind of cognizant of everything that's around you.
and it's easier to track your progress as well. Like if you have a clear goal in mind, like after you finish your study or whatever you're doing, you can like, okay, so did I manage to do what I wanted to? And if you like just playing around, not knowing exactly what you're aiming at, you're gonna get nowhere. And after you finish whatever you're doing, like, okay, what did I learn from that? It's harder to track that, I think, too. But yeah, you're right. I've been doing studies in the wrong way then. It's also,
I mean, it's fine to also just like you get out on the field and you play just to have fun. there are times for that too. But
And I
if
think
you are trying to really with the intent of getting better, then yeah, I think there needs to be times. I think there needs to be a happy balance of both. One where you just go out and you play and you have fun, just like you go out and you paint and you have fun, and then one where it's like, okay, we're gonna focus on some things and we're gonna work on some things in our game, in our painting, that I feel like we need to address in order to be better, like the better version of ourselves. So I think you need to have just a little bit of both. That's kind of my opinion, like in terms of what I see from students. I think a lot of students normally like they do too much one or the other. Either they're doing too much like this, like, and but then they're not like maybe applying it in their own and having fun, and their stuff just becomes like kind of just like carbon copies, and it's like they're too stiff, or they're kind of just doing random stuff, and then they're kind of like, yo, why am I not getting better? And I'm like, well, that's because you're not really having a clear goal in mind. You're not focused. So, yeah, if you're not having fun, then it's like, I mean, not to say that it should be fun, or it should be like this really fun experience, but you should definitely have a nice balance. I think it's all about balance at the end of the day.
I think a lot of times when I'm doing those studies, I'm also maybe that's there is a space for that. It's hard to say like what is wrong and right. Depends on the context and your aims, but like since I'm working a lot recently, I don't have much time to create like personal pieces, so I always try to do a study, and that's what I've been doing, that I can kind of consider a portfolio piece, you know what I mean? So that's why I've been doing them, kind of thinking about composition and shapes and lighting and storytelling, and kind of turning from the reference something new, you know what I mean? But at the same
Yeah.
time, if you really want to learn something specifically and you want to like focus and like break it down and understand that, that's probably not the best way to do that. Like you gotta focus, as you're saying. So that's for sure.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you're trying to get work, then obviously you kind of have to pick your battles there. But yeah, that is one of the pitfalls where like when you're always kind of doing just portfolio work and you're not really trying to focus on maybe getting better, is that you never have time for reflection. And I think that's like one of the hardest parts, especially as like a working artist, right? If you're like working all the time, you never have time to
Yeah.
kind of like, especially when you're on projects, you never have time to kind of go through and say, okay, well, like what worked and what didn't work, because you're on to the next thing, you don't have time. And so anytime you have the ability to take some time and like reflect on your work and like look at it as a whole and kind of remember like, okay, like I don't think this was right, and like I should do this better, I think is always good. But I do understand that like when we're doing this kind of stuff and when you're in the trenches, it's just a whole other
Exactly.
ballgame.
That's
You know what I mean?
the word
Like
trenches. Yeah, you don't
it's
have time.
it's yeah, when you're it's easier to go back and watch film on yourself, after the game is going. But if you have back to back to back games all the time, and you never have time to kind of rest and like that's actually one of the hardest things about playing sports most times than not, is that right, you don't really have time to kind of like work on new stuff, because you're in the middle of a season, right? You can't just go and just focus on one thing. Why? Because you have a game the next week. So the off season, when you're doing your work, is really where you definitely get better. And so there isn't really an off season for art, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like either you're doing it or you're not doing it. So that's why it's like you have to really make sure that you put some time away to kind of learn new things. So like for me, the pandemic, it was like, okay, this is the off season in a lot of ways. So I need to go learn some like Blender, or learn something new, because like there's never going to be a time where I'm gonna have that space to like learn some new shit. So that's really the hard part, is like because you're always in a season, because you're always playing, you're always painting. Sometimes again, you never have time to really reflect and say, okay, these are some things that I want to add to my game. But you're like, shit, like where am I gonna find the time? And that kind of sucks. When
That also brings the idea that there's also never gonna be a perfect time for everything as well. So
yeah.
sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. To wait, okay, I'm gonna have vacations now. You're probably not gonna do, if you're not doing
Oh yeah.
when you have less time, when you have 100, like all the time of the world, probably not
Oh
gonna
yeah,
do it.
you're that guy where you're like, oh yeah, this Christmas break I'm gonna work on this project. I just laugh. I'm like, No, you're not.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do shit.
I'm gonna eat
Uh,
sweets and watch anime. That's what I'm
yeah,
gonna do.
I love when my friends are like, "Yo, I got this project I'm gonna do. When I go on break, from work, I'm gonna work on this like story." I just laugh. I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, you are not gonna do any of that. Like, and then I come back, I'll be like, "Yo, how'd the story go?" You know how it is, man. I got kind of tired. I just slept for like 2 weeks straight. Like I didn't do shit, and I'm like, of course you did, because again, you've been working so hard, right? You've been working on the off season. You never had time to kind of like rest, and recuperate. And so that's why vacations are good. That's why having things other than art is good for you. It will kind of just force you just to like do something else sometimes, and then hopefully coming into something with a fresh mind will be good. But yeah, 100%.
That's true.
It's hard. It's definitely hard for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's times when, back when I was not really working that much, that I was kind of struggling and stuck in a place art-wise or with a, you know, in the process of learning. And if I spend like 1 or 2 weeks without touching art at all, I will go back with a better feel of things. I'm gonna learn it easily. So again, it's all about balance. There's a space for every type of approach in the right moment. You just have
Oh
to.
yeah, 100%. I feel like nowadays, because I don't do it as much, I actually don't paint a lot. Like I really don't. Like I'd paint for work and then I'll do these streams, but other than that, like I'm not painting at all. Unless I'm teaching. But yet I do feel like because of all my extracurricular activities, like I don't know, I just feel more confident, I just feel more relaxed about things, and then it usually just somehow works out. But granted, like I put in a lot of work beforehand, so maybe that's probably a little bit of it's misleading, because I did put in a lot of work to get to where I'm at. So that way I can probably afford to kind of take those kind of days off and just do my own thing. But yeah, I'm definitely in a position now where I'm just like, like I can have a life and just chill and enjoy my work and not feel stressed out about it. So I think that's kind of a hard thing. But when you're under the gun, though, it's definitely a lot harder, especially if you're looking for work and you're trying to kind of facilitate something in your career to happen. Like you really want to like get this job, or you really want to, you know, get these things that are like kind of time based. Then yeah, it's definitely a lot harder to kind of have that relaxed attitude. I'm sure Michael, you can probably attest to that, where I'm sure people probably tell you to relax, but you're like, bitch, I'm trying to like live. And it's easier than done. So that's why it's like everyone's on their own personal journey too. So you can't really judge, you know what I mean? Like if someone's not working hard, or someone, is or isn't doing whatever it is, everyone's in a different place,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like you also gotta respect and understand that like nobody owes you anything.
Very true.
Like, even though like I'm hungry, I want a job, I'm trying, putting in the work. Like I'm not owed anything. I know that.
Yeah.
So I just gotta stay humble, keep trying,
Mm-hmm.
and let time do what it does.
Let it do what it do, baby.
Yeah, if you go with the mindset of people owning you things, you're just gonna get bitter, and it's gonna make things worse. So yeah, just have to be humble about it.
Yeah, that happened to me for sure. Like I was definitely like, why didn't I get this? Why didn't I get that? I talk about that in that video of becoming an artist. Obviously, I'm sure you've probably seen it, Mike. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it wasn't until I really began to kind of take responsibility for my career and say like these things are my issues and I need to solve them. Yeah, it wasn't until that I really then began to like really kind of ramp up my work. Like I was like going super ham, because it was like at that point it's like it's either it's gonna be me or them, and I choose myself. So yeah, it was definitely like kind of a little bit eye opening to kind of, once I took responsibility of like, what, it's my job to learn this. It's my job to figure this out. It's not anyone's job to show me stuff, because I used to have that mentality, like, it's unfair, like, they get all the attention, they get all these things. um, and I see that with some of my students now. Some of them kind of just have that mentality of like, oh, I should be working here, I should be having these things, and you're just like, I guess, like, I don't know what to tell you, bro, but like I can tell you're just gonna be bitter like all the freaking time. And yeah, I think your mentality that you're having right now, I think, is very much the right one, if you want to get work and sustain work.
Yeah, well, it also translates into the study thing we were talking about earlier, because even in failure, like, there's lessons to be learned, and if you can't figure that out and live your life in that way, you're gonna have a harder time, because there's no avoiding it. You're gonna fail at things. It's gonna happen.
Yes,
So
sir.
changing your
100%.
mindset, changing your mindset around, and like not embracing failure. You don't want to fail. Nobody seeks it,
Mhm.
but like understanding that it's going to happen, and how do you get the most out of it.
Yeah,
in every aspect.
failure sucks for sure, but at the end
I'd
of the day,
say that
too, no, so, go on, Kev.
I'd say that depending on how you approach life, in a way, you probably would want to have failures, to be honest. But I know what I mean. I'm just thinking about something that I've listened in a podcast a couple of days ago, that like, if you have everything figured it out, life is just boring. So it's really hard. I'm probably would take like me years to get there, or even if I ever get there, but would be like super cool to just embrace, not really embrace, but like face your failure as an opportunity to learn and just have fun with it, because like, probably if everything that I think in my head I could like instantly put on the canvas, and there's nothing to figure that out, there's no like difficulties and nothing to learn, I wouldn't probably be doing that, like, because
I would.
if you
I'd be
think
like, dude,
about
I'm
the
the shit. Like, bam,
yeah,
done.
like, if you think about the creative process, it's all like creating something new. It's necessarily doing something that has never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about failure, basically. Like, there's this failure all around screaming at you when you think about creative process. So if you don't learn how to cope with that, or at least like learning that in order to create something new and enjoy maybe like the art process growing and all that, you kind of have to understand that failure is your best friend sometimes, and it maybe it's what makes you hunger for more and to trying different things and to explore, because things are not figured out. If things are figured out, why would you ever try, So
I don't know, just to like.
yeah,
be
it's a
dope.
big tangent that we got there.
No, I mean, I agree with it, but at the same time too, if I could draw exactly what I wanted on paper and then it just comes out, I would be thrilled. I would do so many
You'll be
iterations.
thrilled for a week. Come on.
I mean,
maybe
it's
making a lot of money and
Yeah,
you're rich
exactly.
after that, and then you're just bored.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd probably go do other shit, to be honest. I'd be like, I'm tired of art. They'd be like, Kim, I need you to design this, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Design. All right, that'll be like 30 grand. All right, I'm gonna go just like learn some other new. I'd probably go learn some other skill. I'd probably go learn like 3D or something like that, because I'd be like, all right,
Yeah.
well, like my 2D is like so fast now that I can just imagine things and just get things done so quickly. Like, I would look at it as like, what else do I have time for? But I do believe that slowing stuff down is really good. Like, I always equate like painting, and probably inappropriately, to sex. I'm like, it should, like, painting should be like a fun thing. Like, why the hell would you want to like rush to like the end of it, Like, some people
Yeah.
are like, look at my 10-second sketch, and I'm like, that doesn't sound very fun at all. Like, it just sounds like you're just trying to
You're actually
like,
so right.
yeah, you're just trying to like bust quick and then get out. And I'm like, that doesn't sound fun. Like, I want to take my
Are
time.
you happy that you don't have to paint anymore? That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Basically.
like, to me, that's like, that doesn't sound like a very, very fun time. So for me, if it's like, oh, you have, 10, 15 minutes, like, oh, okay, I can, warm up a little bit, do a little foreplay, do a little line art sketch, have some fun with it,
Foreplay.
You know,
Your
it's like,
analogies are the best, man.
yeah,
Oh.
you gotta talk to the painting. You gotta ask it what it wants. You know, what are its needs. You can't do
Yeah.
that in a minute. So it's like this doesn't sound fun to me. So when people are like, yo, I did this in like 20 minutes, I'm like, man, I would have took my sweet time on that. I would have gave it hours. I would have gave it rounds. But you know, it is what it is. I get it. People wanna kind of like move through things fast because you know we're in that society now where
There's also like a level of skill that you kind of have to do something good and fast. We have to admit that too. But I agree with you. Why would you want to do something that's supposed to be fun, like fast?
yeah,
Like
it's
if you're
like
going to play soccer and you're like, oh, we demolished the other team in 1 minute and they all left the field, so like we don't have to play anymore. Like, why would you want that?
yeah, I want to play. Or I think of it like food too. Like when food tastes good. This is why like my wife always thinks my analogies are hilarious because like I love sliders. You know what sliders are?
I don't know, man.
Sliders are like mini burgers.
Okay,
So it's a thing in America, right? Like a hamburger. So they have
let me Google this.
yeah, just type in sliders like hamburger. They're mini burgers. That's all it is. Like type in
Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
yeah. So I very much prefer to have sliders over a burger, over like a big burger, you know, and
Yeah.
my wife always thinks it's kind of silly because she's like, yo, why don't you just get a regular burger? I'm like, dude, sliders are awesome. I'm like, imagine having a burger and it's so good. You're like, shit, I got four more of these, you know. It's like I get to eat this burger awesome. I get to eat this awesome burger four times as opposed to just eating one burger and it being done. I was like, sliders are awesome. I was like, because you literally get to have it like multiple times, and there's different kinds of burgers. I was like, a burger's awesome. Like, I now get to take my time eating like multiple burgers versus having just one big one, you know? And she's always thought that was very, really stupid. And I'm kind of like the same way when it comes to like art. It's like, why rush it? If the food tastes awesome, why would you want to rush like eating it? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to like eat it really, really fast? You would take your time. You would be like, this tastes amazing, but let me take my sweet time. So then a burger, I'm like, yo, this burger is awesome. Shit, I got four more of these? Dude, this is awesome. So as soon as you finish that burger, you're just like, dude, I got three more to go. I'm not even done yet. Like, this is amazing. And that's why sliders are awesome. So I very much
I need to
view
try
art
those.
in the same way. Like it's like a sexual experience. You have to kind of just take your time with it. Granted, sometimes you gotta like, you know, go quick, and I get it. There's a time difference there, but you should want to kind of like enjoy art a little bit and just like take your time painting. If you're not, then it's kind of like when are you ever gonna slow down? Especially in today's society where like social media, everything is just like fast, like have it done now. You know?
What is the next thing, right?
Yeah, I feel like you kind of owe it to yourself to just be like, you know what, like let me just paint something and like let it take like a few weeks, let it take a month, you know, like who cares, like that's a hard thing to do, you know, like when you when you say like, you know, I'm gonna let this painting take like extra like a half a year, but just let it do it, and then and also like do it and then throw it away. Like that's also the thing too, is that people get in this weird thing of like, yo, if I paint this, like it has to be amazing and I gotta post it on Twitter and it's gotta be amazing. Like sometimes I just do paintings that are like pretty good and I just throw it away. I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like you have to be okay with that too. Not everything has to be for show as well. I think there's this thing that's like, yo, like every time I think everyone has this issue too, where you're like every time you sit down, you're like, this painting has to be like Instagram worthy, otherwise like what's the point, you know? And then you kind of get in your own head, and then sometimes you like you add this pressure to yourself of like, oh, you know, like this painting's cool and I could probably just leave it as is, but you're like, you know what, this could actually be a good like, this could probably be a good Instagram painting, this could probably be a good, you know, so and so, or like, you know, or just leave it the way it was. Not everything has to be for consumption. So there's that part too that I feel like people sometimes kind of forget. Everything has to be for someone else to see. And I kind of get in that way too, especially with like my streams, you know, like I'll stream something and then I'm just like, all right, let's get that video and, you know, speed it up and show it off because it's you know, it's good content, but sometimes there are paintings that I do that I'm just like, F it. Like it was cool, but I'm not going to post it. And then I'll post it like years later and be like, oh, look at this painting I did, but I did that years ago.
Yeah, if you, it's easy to get like trapped in this social media trap of instead of enjoying yourself and painting as a thing in itself, it always has to be connected with likes and other people expectations. It definitely gets in the way of enjoying the whole process of learning and just painting for fun. Yeah,
I mean,
that's for sure.
I get when you're first starting out, right? Like if you're like Michael, you want to like maximize your time. So you're just like
Yeah, that's for
anything that
sure.
I'm doing needs to kind of like push towards my branding, you know, and like figuring that out. And I'm kind of like that now, right? Like everything that I'm doing, I'm like, you know what? Everything I'm doing should probably push towards like marketing my class or like pushing something that I got going on that will, you know, help my career, that kind of stuff. But then sometimes you're kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore, or if I don't know if I want to do that today. But I get when there's like when things are very time sensitive, it's very easy to just get in that mode where it's just like, you know, market. Because we're all doing, at the end of the day, that's what we all do. We're all just trying to market ourselves. We're all just
Yeah, it's work at the end of the day.
we're all just holding ourselves out. I get it. Like we're all trying to get that work, and it happens. Ooh, you know what? I kind of missed this. Ooh, is this gonna work? Get this little light here. Ooh, kill him. Oh shit. Oh damn. Oh nice. Okay guys, I think see now we're moving. Kind of crazy how I went from like that like shitty polygonal shape to like something that actually has form. And now I'm learning like how much I need it. Like if I don't do that, I think I'm at that age now where I'm like, I think this is me. This is my process. Every once in a while, like I have a good process, and then like I'm thinking like, but can it be better? You know, I get in that weird kind of like vibe, but I'm like, you know what? I bet you could do it better, and I'll try something else. I'll try something new, right? I'll try to use like 3D, or I'll try to use a different brush, you know, or I'll try to, you know, and then more and more I just come back to the same thing. I'm like, you know what? Like this just makes more sense to me. And I think I've explored enough where I'm like, maybe this is how I work. Sorry, Sate Naga, hello, how's it going? Uriel, Gwyndian, hello, what's going on? We got 5 viewers in the chat. Oh, you know what? I didn't add Photoshop. I'm dumb. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't add Photoshop to the program that we're using, so that's probably why the views might be a little low right now. Saving. Watch, I'm probably gonna get like hella. Oh dang it! I was messed up. Normally you have to put what program you're using, and then yeah, I kind of messed it up. But yeah, we got about 15 more minutes before I have to hang out with the lovely. Probably just catch up, but I haven't talked to him in a hot minute. He's one of my favorite artists, so anytime he calls, you gotta make time. And also, my wife made some tacos, so I mean. Tacos, right? Like
Taco Tuesday.
yeah, it's a Taco Tuesday, and she was really nice to like make it.
But what is Taco Tuesday? I'm just saying because I've heard on some comedy sketch. But what is Taco Tuesday? Like I have no idea.
It's tacos on Tuesday, bro. What you mean?
Yeah,
But it's like
no deeper than that.
It's no
nah,
deeper
but
than
you
that.
can't do that with any food. Like why? Is that some sort of national thing? That's what I'm asking.
It's cultural, but it's just we just have tacos on Tuesday. It's not deep. It's just
Taco
like
Tuesday.
you can do whatever you want on Tuesday, but I'm just saying, like, if you said Burger
Taco
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
people would probably look at you funny. They'd be like, "The fuck are you talking about?" But you said Taco Tuesday, they're like, "Yo, let's get some tacos."
I see.
So yeah, it's just if you go to a taco joint on Tuesday, they probably got some sale going on or a deal where they're like, yo, like buy 2 tacos, you know, get some tacos free. And
Yeah, it's just catchy. Taco Tuesday.
It is catchy, that's for sure.
Yeah, Taco Tuesday. Yeah, it's not deeper than that. I wish it was, but no. Yeah. Like normally if it's Tuesday, I'm like, yo, Taco Tuesday.
It's not a boto, right? It's not a boto deep, man.
Maybe. Yeah, I just know that if it's time to get some tacos and it's Tuesday, like if there's ever a day I'm going to have tacos, I would probably do it on a Tuesday because it just like chances are you're gonna find some good tacos at an affordable price.
I see.
So yeah, Taco Tuesdays is
Taco Tuesdays.
okay. When you come visit, right? When you come, you know, to hang out for whatever thing that we hang out for, this light box or whatever, just make sure that you stay at least during a Tuesday.
Make sure to participate on the ritual of Taco Tuesday.
Yes, we will participate. Thank you for the follow, Shy Royal. I didn't see the name, but sorry, Tea Time Jess. What's up, Tea Time? Shy Royal Blue. Sorry, Oh, we're getting raided. The fuck? Oh snap. Raid. Someone said raid. Do we fight back? Do we fight back on our raid? What do we do?
What are they raiding for?
I don't know. Counterattack these motherfuckers. Okay. I don't know. Thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. I think raid is obviously when someone like from another stream goes, hey, we're gonna go say hi and show love. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Shy Royal Blue. When someone says raid though, like I always think like offensively, like it's like a bad thing. Like raid, you know, like you got to get raided. I'm like, yo, like get the guns, like, like get the, like pop the shield, drop ult. Like I'm thinking like Gibby from Apex. Like put the bubble up. We're about to go. Drop totem. We're getting raided. But yeah, appreciate the kind words. Raid is good on Twitch. Okay, there you go. I was like, get him back.
They also say gank. At least in Brazil, they say gank. Like if someone like
we say
having a
gank.
stream, then ganking.
Oh, you say
they're
ganking?
ganking or...
Isn't that used in like League of Legends, right? It's like a term when you kill someone. Yeah, someone gets ganked.
Yeah. So
like
yeah, when a big streamer like make all their viewers go to like some small streamer, they always say gank from whatever.
You say raid, I'm gonna say police, open up. Just be like,
yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
You learn something new every day. So, yeah. Raid. Watch the like. They're like SWAT time. It's like FPS at my door. I'm like, what? You gotta be careful, man. People be doxing. You know how it go. But yeah, thanks y'all for coming through. We only got about maybe 12 minutes left. Yeah, I'm curious on how did you guys just find me? I'm curious with how they found me because I don't know. Maybe they know me from Twitter.
Maybe the Photoshop thing did the trick.
Nah. Oh, maybe that could be it, but I doubt it. Gank is a sneak attack in LoL. Alliteration is good. Yes, alliteration is good. Yeah, it's probably just random. Yeah, I would assume. But yeah, I always appreciate the good old follow. Before we keep painting here, I gotta plug. I gotta plug my stuff real quick because you know how it is. You gotta. And I appreciate everyone that's been sharing it thus far. You, Kevin, Michael, y'all have been the goats and just sharing my stuff. But yeah, dude. I have my online painting class coming soon. Goes live to purchase on the 21st. A lot of cool stuff we're going to be going through here. 6-week course, a lot of cool stuff. So just get ready for that. If you're interested, just go to Rad How To School, look up projects. You'll find me there. It's simple. You know the vibe. So yeah, just gotta do my shameless plug. Let's see. I followed you for a while. You used to go to my school, so you've been there as a speaker a few times before it shut down. before it shut it down. So let me guess. That would be Sunnyvale or Orange County. I would assume Orange County or probably Sunnyvale, right? It's probably Sunnyvale or Orange County. I'm not sure which school. Yeah, it's really weird that like my school shut down that I used to go to, and it's like kind of sad. Like
Because of COVID?
no, like it's because like Art Institute is like a shitty school, so then like they're just not there anymore. So
Oh,
like
I see.
the idea of colleges shutting down is like a weird thing, right? Like my wife went to like SF State, San Francisco State, but like it's still there. Will be there for many years to come, right? But my college, it's like, where's your college at? It's like, oh, it's not there anymore. Like it closed down. It's like it's just a building. It's just kind of sad. Oh, Tea Time Jess. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, Jess went to the. Did you graduate the same year as I did then? Uh, did you graduate the same year that I did, possibly, or would you a little bit? You and Anthony did some like stuff. Yeah, so I went to the Art Institute of California, Orange County, and yeah, they're not there anymore. It's just like a parking lot. It's kind of sad. That's what art schools are out here for the most part. They're not very reliable and they're kind of shady. So yeah, they closed down once their predatory practices were no longer like acceptable. And yeah, it's like a parking lot. It's like next to a Hooters, and it's not there anymore. No, you graduated in 2016. Oh wow, so you're like young. You're like, dude, you're probably like you are just beginning in your career. That's awesome though. Yeah, I feel old because I graduated in 2008. And yeah, I miss going there, like, because I used to always go hang out at my old college all the time because I had friends that like worked there and stuff, and then, just kind of mentor some of the next generation that was coming up. But unfortunately, yeah, it closed down, and it is what it is. So yeah, what are you up to now, Jess? Shout outs to people that went to the Art Institute of California, Orange County. That shit show of a school. But at the same time, as much as I like talk shit about it, like I did meet like AJ and Edgar and like some really amazing people. So it's like it's hard to like put a price on it. I don't know. It's one of those things where like you have fond memories, but looking back at it, you're like, there was probably a better way for that to kind of all go down. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things, but I mean that's how spoiled we are, Kevin. Is that like we get to complain about art school, where I'm sure is like in other countries you probably don't even have that option. I would assume.
Yeah, no, we don't have actual like art schools for concept art in Brazil at all.
Yeah. So
what we do is we study something that is the most similar and try to, learn something out of that. But at the end of the day, most of the artists just drop out and study online, schoolism and all. So kind of sad, but
yeah, I mean, people don't know, and it's crazy too, considering how many like dope Brazilian artists I know. That when someone tells me, like, when I see a dope artist and they're like, oh, I'm from Brazil, I'm like, I kind of just go like, yeah, like that makes sense. Like I don't like, I'm not like, what, really? I'm like, yeah, like I totally believe that. Like, of course you're from Brazil. Like, of course you're like really freaking good at like this,
come on, there are some crazy ass Russian artists,
Yeah, it's like Russian artists or like a dude with like an American first name and an Asian last name. You're just like, yeah, of course you're amazing. Like
exactly.
My name's John Park, and I'm like, of course, like it's the American first name, Asian last name, like every time.
Every time.
Yeah, so it's definitely, yeah, we definitely get kind of spoiled out here in terms of like that. But yeah,
but
really
then
surprising
again,
me
it's so expensive that kind of like it is. Are you guys really spoiled because it's so expensive?
Yeah, but even if it's not even if it is expensive, I'm sure like Tea Time Jess in the chat will tell you like we're still near events, we're still near like studios, we're still near like other artists that probably can afford it, that we can talk to, we can probably meet. Like you're closer to the industry at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Like
the industry there is so much more developed. All these
so like for all intents and purposes, right? We could argue that like Michael is like not as privileged, right? Because he's not in California, but then he's still more privileged than most people because he can fly to California relatively easy to go to an event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus someone's international. And even where Michael lives, there are still art schools around Michael that are somewhat competent that can give him the basics before he decides, you know what, like I'm gonna go do my own shit. Where it's like if you're in like a other country like Brazil, it's like it's either this or nothing, right? There isn't many like opportunities. There isn't much like options. At least for most of us, like we have options, you know.
Yeah.
Like I was very lucky because I had the option to go to CDA, the Constantine Academy, like after the Art Institute, because I wasn't getting what I wanted at the Art Institute, and I was like, dude, F this. Well, you know what? There's a school an hour away. I'm gonna go to that school, you know. Like if you go to a shitty school in Brazil, like I don't know, where you gonna go? Like you can go to like Amanda's house and just like right, and you're gonna just fly over to how do you say it? Cubarita, how you say it? To that place, that town they live in.
Curitiba.
Yeah, you're gonna go fly to Curitiba.
Why do I pronouncing it like an American? It's Curitiba.
Yeah, sorry, I probably ruined that. Yeah. So yeah, Jess said, yeah, part of why I moved to Cali was because of how central it is and stuff to do. See, so it's just like, yeah, it's like people love to move to California even without a plan, just because they know it's just like you're putting yourself in a place where there's going to be a lot of opportunities, you know. So, yeah, it definitely be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, as much as I want to complain about it, there were avenues for me to kind of like do something else. Like if I mess up, you know, if it doesn't work out, there were just other things I could do, and that would be okay. So we're very lucky in that regard. Okay. Dang, I'm not gonna finish this one. Well, normally if I had like an extra hour or something, I probably would have. I went for like 2 hours the other day. But it's not too bad, like considering where we were before. Like check this out, this is where we were before. We had this one the other day, and that was decent. But now this one, I feel like, okay, now we're like really getting somewhere with like the shapes and stuff. That I'm like, oh snap! Like, I can definitely paint this out a little bit. So.
Yeah, that was looking good.
Yeah, compared to where I was like over here, like this one was pretty good. Like I was like, oh, I'm learning something, right? But then I knew that I was like, this can be better though. Like I know I can do better. Like I know I can make this a lot stronger. And then this was the very first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, and then fourth attempt, and now we're at the fifth attempt. And my goal is to make that fifth attempt like the best one, where it's like, okay, like you've messed up like 5 times, and each time you figured out a way to approach it, and that's what I want to do. So now the next thing I can do now is I can just go like, oh, you know what? Now next week I want to try to do a painting where like I just paint something from scratch with this theme in mind, and then I try to, you know, get better at it. That's the goal. So that's what I'm hoping happens. Mote of the Void. Hola, Kaylin, everyone. Okay, que pasa, tíos? Mote, how are you? Still 9 people. Yeah, it's all good. So we had a chill day today. So, yeah, Kevin, anything trying to plug your class, anything like that? Don't you have a class going on?
Nope. My class is only in Portuguese, so.
Only in Portuguese? Yet. Okay, well, my Portuguese viewers, I'm sure there's got to be some of y'all in here. If there are, look up Kevin Gnusman. He's the man. He's got the man with the plan, and he's got some cool stuff. Whoops, I accidentally exited out of my thing on accident. No. What did I do? Okay, we're back. Yeah, if you're from Brazil, look him up because you can definitely get some cool training. And then also look up my man Keypalette, Michael Young. He's up and coming, and he's taking clients, y'all. Get in his DMs. And then if you're single, ladies, get in his DMs. Right? You're not taking, right, Michael?
Let's go.
No.
Okay, good. There you go. All right. So you looking for work? Slide Michael's DMs. If you're looking for that work, slide in Michael's DMs, and we good to go. So cool. Let me see. Okay, let me save this actually because we are chilling. Yeah, Yes, sir. Cool. All right. So thank you guys for coming through again. Thank you so much, Mike, for holding it down as usual. Thank you, special guest Kevin, for coming through. I wish I could obviously stream a little bit more, but yeah, I gotta talk to an old friend and see what's good. So yeah. So yeah. Take care, guys, and
Bye bye, everyone.
bye bye. Take care, and.